So as you can see, it is snowing outside. It is about 28 degrees out, and in our greenhouse it is 65.2 degrees, and we are comfortable with that temperature being here for our lemons. I have some seedlings over here. I have dragon fruit underneath y'all. Got a bunch of houseplants. I've got some squash. One's covered up, one's not, because we were just being cautious, but now I can confidently say that we have a good routine and a good solution to keeping our greenhouse warm in the winter time. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you have that was snow. I'm glad that you have this gardening interest and chose to watch my video. Thank you so much. So today we are going to go over how we keep our greenhouse warm when it is freezing outside. It is currently 28 degrees. I showed you, oh, we're up to 66 now because it's getting a little bit later in the day. Overnight we got down to about 54. I don't know what the outside temperature was, but I know it was cold. We currently have about 7 inches of snow on the ground, which is actually not normal for where we're at. I'm in Oklahoma, and this is the heaviest snow that we've had in several years. I love it though. I think it's so beautiful. The birds love it, and it's really cool to see all the plants that I left up. So I have tomatoes that I left from the season that just died and are still on that trellis, squash that are still on the trellis, and I can see through my greenhouse. It's a bit of a mess. We had to get everything in real quick, but you can see the the little birds walking around. Those are tomatoes, or words anymore. But they love it, and I love being able to see them, and the snow just really brings them out, and I love it so much. So heating our greenhouse has been quite a big project. It's been a lot of trial and error. I have a banana I had to bring inside. That thing almost died. It got so cold, and there was a lot of prep that went into making the greenhouse as warm as it is now, because it was not always this warm. There was a lot of things that we had to try. Some things didn't work. Some things worked, but not all that well, and it was a lot to work with. But I think we finally have it down. So just to start off, I do want to say that we got this greenhouse off Wayfair. We did not build it from scratch or anything. It was a kit, and we got it on a Labor Day sale, so it was a little bit cheaper. And I love it. I think it was about $1,500. And that's just for the base, so the panels that you see behind me, and then the bars. And I have, oh, it's still zoomed in. It does have one window here and one window there. Nice doors that did not seal all the way, and we will talk about that and how we got those sealed. And it really, I love it. It's a nice greenhouse. It's 14 by 8, I want to say, or 14 by 10, I think. It's very spacious. I love it very much. It was my first big old purchase. Worked for it, and I'm still quite young, so this was my most expensive thing I've bought. And then afterwards, I just bought a car. But that was, anyway, first big girl purchase. It was a really big deal for us. My boyfriend and parents helped out too. And on top of that, we have a wooden floor that my dad so graciously made. Bless. This on dirt would have not been a good idea. So I do want to just start out with that we did build this, and it does have a wooden floor, and it is up off the ground just because we worry about flooding, but we also worry about dirt getting everywhere, which, I mean, it is a greenhouse, there's going to be dirt, but like mud, and it won't insulate as well, and so that was a big issue for us. So that is the base that we built our greenhouse on. That's how we know that it's going to stay for a while. Now, to get on to the actual heating portion of it, we have done quite a lot. So when we first built the greenhouse and we were putting it together, we would slide these panels in. So how it went was there was these 2 metal bars. We'd build the frame, and then in the very top, we'd slide the panel in. And after we slid the panel in, we would take silicone and line the sides. So every side, including the bottom, is all lined with silicone. And that's like that on every single panel. We wanted to do that at first because we noticed when it was raining that the rain would get through and it was leaking, and we're like, okay, if the rain's getting through, then the air's definitely getting through. And that wasn't an issue when we built it in September, because our Septembers are very hot, like still close to 100 degrees hot. But we knew that it was going to be an issue later on, and so we did seal all the sides, including the top, and that was our first kind of layer of protection. We also did that with our top panels. Everything is sealed because every crack is a chance for some air to escape. And so that was our big number 1. Number 2 is our wooden floor. So it's still a mess, but it's a greenhouse, so I'm not as disgusted by it. We have our wooden floor, and you can see we did some silicone caulking. This was like the spray foam, and we did that in a lot of our cracks, just around so that the air would not come up through the cracks. We also went ahead on a weather safe carpet, so this is meant to be an outdoor carpet. It is somewhat for the aesthetics of it because I think it looks really cool, but it also does add a layer of protection from the air coming up inside of here, because our yard is very hilly, and so we had to dig out some of the base portion before we put the wood on. We had to dig it out, and then for the wooden base itself, there's actually, like, it's flat on the top, but it's got one wall. I'll see if I can show you or if it's covered in snow or not. But it's got a base, and then one side has a wall, so it's flat, but because it's got some space, because it's on a hill, the air will go underneath of it and come up and cool off the greenhouse quite quickly. And so we made sure to caulk everything, or I think it's spray foam, that we use to seal it up, and then add that carpet. And now also the past couple of, we have had to add duct tape on it, because this caulk, when you walk on the wood, it comes up. And so that was kind of our first mistake, is this stuff will come up if the boards shift too much. And so I don't know if this is going to be temporary or how we're going to do work with this. But we currently have duct tape here in a lot of our spaces just to make sure that none of that air gets out. So past duct taping the floor a little and caulking and adding our carpet, we also did a line of silicone and caulk mix. I don't know, the spray foam and the silicone mix. Across the bottom of our greenhouse. And so when it rains, when it snows, or anything of the sort, we're not getting an influx of water coming into our greenhouse, which is something that we were worried about. And it actually happened a couple of times, because that could cause mold, or you don't want to just step in water or have your plants sitting in water. Your plants sitting in water, that means that they could get root rot, and don't want that either. And so we went ahead and did caulk and silicone mix. I think first we did, keep saying caulk, we did the spray foam first, and then went back with the silicone around and made sure that it was all sealed well. So that is kind of how we did our floor and our main base, the most important part. Now for our windows, I don't know if it's that the greenhouse isn't made well or what, they don't come down all the way. And so we've had to kind of improvise and screw in little screws and tuck it in. But they still have some airflow. And so we figured, okay, well, if they're going to be open, might as well run an extension cord through it. So in our window here, we do have an extension cord that runs through it, and that's hooked up on the wall. And these go to our heat lamps that we have in here. But I will talk about that more in a minute. So as far as our windows go, we do have them sealed up as best as we can. So this window that the extension cord is coming through is pulled down, and it's zip tied as tight as it can be. And we have stuck a blanket in that window to kind of stop airflow from coming in as much as possible, and just kind of stuff it up. I've also done this with a trash sack. You can do this, I don't know, anything that you can stick in there. And I feel it's definitely helped a lot. For our other window, the gap is a little bit smaller, and so we have taken duct tape and folded it over itself and put it up there, and that is going to act as kind of a windbreaker, a wind blocker, and so there's not any wind that's really coming in here at the moment. We might need to replace it in a little bit, just if it gets wet enough or if it starts falling, but duct tape is not expensive, and that is not something that we are worried about, and it's working really quite well. Now, this door has given us plenty of trouble. This was something that the reviews, Wayfair, they told us about. They're like, this door does not sit very well, it doesn't close very well, and so we knew about it. We knew that it was gonna probably not be very great, and so what we ended up doing is first seeing how the door would close, and it would not even, like, you'd put the doors together and latch it, and they would just pop open. And so we have done some hillbilly rigging, I guess, some hillbilly fixing, and went ahead and added a gate latch both at the bottom and the top of our door. So that left door, you have to move those before you can open it. And because it keeps that left door in place, when we put the right door with it, they stick together, and so they no longer open. Now, we did add some door lining so that the doors, there's no crack in them, because there was a crack before. There's no crack in the doors when they close, and there's also no crack on top when they close. And that, we bought that from, I think, Lowe's. It was like 15 bucks. We cut it up and put it in there, and it has been such a lifesaver because no air can get through it, or very little air can get through it, and that was a big spot for us, especially because with the way that we have our greenhouse placed, normally the wind is blowing towards the greenhouse doors, and so it's just a big gust that comes through here and cools it off. And so that was a big fix for us, was fixing that door. And then we have a latch on the inside to keep it tight when we're inside the greenhouse, and then when we're outside, it doesn't really need too much of a latch. And so that's probably my biggest tip for keeping your greenhouse warm, is making sure that there's no cracks, you're insulated, you've got, you know, everything sealed and caulked and foamed and duct tape if you need to, and that will keep your temperature from dropping the most. Now, let's get on to heaters, or how we heat our greenhouse. So we have gone through so many heaters, like probably like 6 or 7 heaters, just trying to figure out what would work best for us. And I think we finally found what works best, and it's not what I would think of at all. We have tried little fan heaters, we've tried big heaters, we've tried this radiator that I still haven't taken out. We tried that radiator, didn't work very well. What did work, however, and we're up to 73, or 67.3, sorry, I don't know why I said 73. This is a cheap heater that we got at some Christmas, and that's held up. We've had it on high for a while, and it's held up really well. And then we also have had these heat lamps as of really not too many days ago. And these are meant for, I think, chickens or baby chicks, and radiate. It's quite a bit of heat because, I mean, baby chicks need a lot of heat to survive in the cold. And so these lamps work really well. They were, I believe, the metal part that surrounds it was about $12, and the bulb itself was $5. And so we went ahead and got 3 of each, and that has been enough to keep our greenhouse warm. They are a very bright light, and I can feel, I'm sitting on the ground, it's probably about 4 feet away from me, and I can still feel the heat coming off of it. And I don't know how we didn't think of these sooner, but these radiate so much heat mixed with the other heater that we have in here. That is enough for us. Now, if you are in a climate that gets, I don't know, like 0 degrees or something like that, I have no idea what to tell you. But I am zone 7B, and so our winters get cold. We've gotten, I think our lowest temperature was down to 16 degrees. But it's never freezing, never close to freezing in our greenhouse, and I am so thankful for that. If you wanted to do this without electricity, or maybe you don't have outside outlets that you can run, or maybe your garage isn't close enough to run it to your greenhouse, or maybe you are, you keep flipping your breaker. We've done that several times, and that was a lot of trial and error there. There are ways that you can heat your greenhouse without power, or without, electricity. I have not tried them myself, so I do not have the experience to say that. However, I have seen people that have heated them without electricity, and I'll talk about that just a little bit, but just a fair warning that I have not tried that myself. So I've seen many people take giant black water barrels and put them either in the corners of their greenhouse or just scattered around, and those will collect heat during the day and get pretty warm, especially if the sun's out. Like, the sun isn't out today, so I don't know how warm they would get, but if the sun's out and it's hitting down in your greenhouse and these barrels are getting hot, then at night they will exert that heat and warm up your greenhouse. Now, I don't know how well that works, if it would heat it up all night, or I don't know. I've never tried that, but that is something to definitely try if you want to heat your greenhouse without electricity. Another way that I've seen, and I don't know if it's safe, inside your greenhouse you will have a wood stove and you'll hook it up where it can go outside and whatever. I don't know how safe that would be, especially for my greenhouse, because I have a wooden floor and I leave it unattended quite often. But that is really something that, if you are looking for an alternative, that could be something for you to look into as well. I hope you learned something in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please remember to leave a like and subscribe. Leave any comments you have down below. Any questions. If I missed anything, please let me know. It moved. I kind of went over a lot of stuff in this video, so if you need any clarification, please just let me know and I will respond in the comments as fast as I can. And until next time, happy gardening!